Hello my loves and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Nina and in today's video we're going to make 2 easy 1960s recipes that are perfect for the holidays. This is the second part of another video where I talk a little bit about Christmas in the 1960s. In that other video I talk a little bit about the Christmas decor, the toys that everybody wanted throughout the decade, a little bit about music and TV specials, and just a tiny bit about the cultural shift that marked the difference between the 50s and the 60s when it came to Christmas. Originally, I was also going to talk about holiday food in that video, but it was turning out super long, so I decided to separate them. And today we're going to make those two recipes in this other part. Something really interesting about the 60s when it comes to food is that it changed a lot from the previous decade because the way people served food for parties or gatherings was quite different. They needed to socialize a little more. So in the 50s, you would sit around the table and someone would serve the food or you would serve yourself, but sitting in there. And in the 60s, it was more about socializing. You would get up and serve yourself. So it was completely different. And today we're going to make two recipes that actually come from the 50s, but were more convenient in the 60s according to that shift that was happening. We're going to make one salty recipe and one sweet one. The first one, the salty one, is going to be a classic cheese ball. And for the sweet one, we're going to make a Jello crown jewel dessert. So without further ado, let's just get into the recipes. I'm going to start by putting the cream cheese into a mixing bowl. Then I'm going to stir it until it softens a bit. If you struggle with stirring, you may want to add a couple of tablespoons of olive oil. As you can see, I already have all the ingredients chopped. Next, I add the cooked and chopped bacon to the mixture, followed by the parsley and green onion. Now I'm going to add the cheese. The recipe suggests cheddar, but since I'm not a fan, I went with Parmesan. I mix everything together, and once that's done, I add a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, a teaspoon of hot sauce, a little garlic powder, a little dried oregano, and a little black pepper. Then I mix everything together once again. Now I'm going to put a tiny bit of olive oil on my hands to prevent the cheese balls from sticking. I gently form the balls. Next, I take a piece of plastic wrap and cover the cheese balls like this. We're then going to place them in the freezer for about 15 minutes. Once the cheese balls are ready, I'm going to coat them with walnuts. Holding the back on one side, I gently toss the ball onto the walnuts. And once it's fully covered, I move on to the next one. And this is the final result. For the dessert, I'm going to start by lightly oiling the Pyrex. This is supposed to help with unmolding later on. Now we're going to make the Jello. You can follow the instructions on the package, but since we're making solid cubes, add a little less water than the recipe suggests. For unmolding, I did have to use a spatula anyway, but it came out pretty well. base, I'm going to prepare some classic cookie crumbs in the blender. I pour the crumbs into the Pyrex and then I melt some margarine. Next, I pour in the margarine, mix it with the crumbs and start pressing everything into the Pyrex to form the base. Now I'm going to prepare the base jello. This one can be made following the exact instructions on the package. Then I pour the mixture into the blender and add a cup of whipping cream. We let everything blend together, and once it's ready, we pour it back into a bowl to cool. We need to wait until it's cold but still liquid. We don't want it to solidify. Once it's cold, we pour the mixture into the Pyrex on top of the crumb base. We start with just a little, then add the jello jewel cubes until everything is covered. Once it's ready, all that's left to do is serve it. And this is the final result. Well, that was everything for today's 2 recipes. It was my first time doing something related to cooking in a video, and it was definitely a challenge, but I'm so glad you're here and that you watched all through this 2 recipes. I hope you try them out, especially for Christmas or just for any gathering you might have with loved ones or with your friends. And that was everything for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, there's like the first part of this video in case you want to watch that one. And yeah, that's all. See you on the next one. Bye!
But they sure got some cuties incorrect.